My favorite color is Rick's Vomit. Got my package here. Let me open it, see what's inside. It's like so taboo. I'm using my fabric scissors to cut this. So I realized my reaction was so boring. I had to cut it down to 20 seconds, but Caitlin sent me 3 tops and 2 dresses, and I decided to flip the 2 dresses for this challenge.
Ooh, very nice. Princess highway dress. This is something I would just wear as it is. She sent me really nice stuff. I don't know if I want to cut these things up. Another one? How many things did she send me? Oh, yes. Wow, I'm excited to see what I can do with this mint piece.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Half Soybean channel. My name is Sharon, and today I have a very special video because not only is it my first challenge video, it is also in collaboration with Caitlin here on YouTube. A couple of weeks back, we sent each other a parcel with a few items of clothing and decided to challenge each other to make something inspired by Urban Outfitters. I just want to get started straight away. This mint dress is 55% linen and 45% cotton, and it's this really lovely vintage style 60s silhouette, and it's got this frill neck lizard style collar, and it's very cute as it is. The inspiration is this bustier top from Urban Outfitters, and it's no longer available on their website, but luckily you have this tutorial to make it for yourself. Sketching out my idea as usual, I wanted to make a skirt and a top. These are the general pattern pieces you will need according to your own body measurements. I cut down the middle of the dress to separate a top and a skirt, and I just put away the bottom half for later since I wanted to start with the top. Okay, seam ripping time. I'm going to separate the shell and the lining, so hopefully that gives me a little bit more fabric to work with. I seam ripped all the seams apart for a true idea of how much fabric I had to work with. Not to be like super creepy, but this smells really floral, so I assume that's what Caitlin smells like in real life. I cut the front bodice piece to my own body measurements. There's a lot of first times on this channel today because this is also my first time using a mannequin ever. I picked this baby up a couple of days ago secondhand, and the lady actually told me that this mannequin is an Australian size 6, so I sort of took her word for it. But I just measured her and it turns out she's not a size 6 at all, and she's actually very close to my own body measurements, so that's great. I was going to buy some batting to beef the mannequin up a little bit, but that saved me a bit of time and money because I don't have to do that anymore. Mark out how much booby shape you need to cut out, and you can use your bra underwire as a guide to do this. I've just pinned the bodice part along her body, but I couldn't help but notice how pointy this mannequin's boobs are. Like, I don't know, it's quite pointy. I'm sewing in the darts for the front bodice and cutting out the booby part for the bustier look. This is what we are aiming for to fit your own body. Now cutting the cups, ideally you want it to be 1.5 times to 2 times the length and height of the semicircle you cut out before, but I didn't have quite enough fabric for that, so it's a little bit smaller, but I cut it out in my shell and lining fabric. I cut out a general sleeve piece with the remainder fabric. I'm so glad Caitlin sent me a mint colored dress. I have been having an obsession with Easter colors this year, and it started off with loving pastel purple, and I still love lilac so much. It's one of my favorite colors. But this season I have been totally obsessed with mint, or like seafoam, green, sage, that kind of color palette. And I don't know why. Where has this come from? This is all my pieces for the front of the top. I don't actually have any mint colored thread, so this baby blue is as close as we're getting to this mint color. Sew across the top of the cut pieces right sides together, flip it and baste along the curve so you can gather it. Use the small semicircle that you cut out before as a size guide. Then sew 2 lines for a channel for your elastic, and with a safety pin, feed the elastic through the channel and sew the edges to secure in place. I've always wanted this style of top, but I guess I've always been worried that the bust isn't gonna fit me properly because obviously not everyone has the same sized bust. But this way, it's perfectly tailored to my body and I don't have to feel bad about things not fitting me properly since it's all tailored to me. I just quickly basted the bodice shell and lining so it doesn't move when I sew in the booby cups, but just match the right side of the cup and the right side of the bodice and sew along the curve. Then I cut a curve for my armpit area and overlocked all of the raw edges. The other day I was catching up on some episodes of Rick and Morty, and I couldn't help but notice that Rick's hair and the color of his vomit is mint colored, and I had just never noticed this before in all my years of watching this show. I just caught myself off guard admiring this old man's vomit. Let me know in the comments if you watch Rick and Morty as well, and let me know your favorite episode. Now, to create a back that looks like this, you will need to get a long piece of fabric 1.5 times your back measurements, finish the raw edges and sew in an elastic along the top and baste the bottom and gather it. Then attach it to the bottom half piece, which should fit your back as it is. Create the top by attaching the front and back by sewing down the side seams right sides together and hem the bottom of the top. Look at that! Look at that! It's turning out really good. I think I want to add a bow here as well. That would be cute. Now for the sleeves, finish the raw edges and close the underarm seam. Then I sewed by folding once over to create a channel for the top and bottom, leaving a little gap to feed in the elastic. Attach the sleeve by lining up the side bodice and underarm seam together. I quickly made a bow and hand sewed it to the top. I was actually really worried about making this top because the booby area looked so difficult to make, but we've made it out to the other side and it was really not as difficult as I thought it would be, and I highly recommend that you make this for yourself if you have a sewing machine at home. I just made a simple A-line skirt. With the amount of fabric, I measured how much I had to take in with darts. I put 2 darts at the front and 2 at the back and sewed them in. This is the invisible zip that I recycled from my Chanel suit video, and I just attached that in. I actually did a shockingly good job with it, and I'm proud of myself because I don't like attaching zippers at all. Finally, I sewed along the waist circumference right sides together and flipped it inside out for that final skirt look.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. You see her walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a superstar. She looks so fly in those Gucci slides. Yeah, I wonder what she hides under her disguise. Yeah. And all the girls around the world, they wanna be her. And all the dudes are trying to score like it's fever. She lives a double life, puts on a show. What's under this subtle smile, we'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa.
Start your computation.
It is time to work on the second piece of clothing. It's this beautiful dress that features a very pretty square neckline, and it is also made out of a broderie anglaise fabric. It's also known as eyelet fabric, I believe. Broderie anglaise means English embroidery, and despite the name, it actually comes from India and China, but it has the English element in it because it became a very popular style of fabric in England in the 19th century. It features these little eyelets or holes that are finished off with a button stitch, and that is cut out throughout the fabric to create a very pretty design. I seam ripped the zipper out of this dress, and recycling zippers and elastic from old clothes can come in very handy.
I think we're getting
So I'm seam ripping and catching up on some Rick and Morty, and look how pretty his hair color is. What the heck? So this is the cinch tie top that I am using as my inspiration from Urban Outfitters. Again, this is no longer available on their website, but hopefully you'll see that this top is so easy to make and you don't need to dish out like $50 for one top. Plan is to cut off the bottom half of the dress and make it into big poofy sleeves. And I want to keep the square neckline alive. I want to make a cinch tie at the front because it already comes with pre-made ties, and that's a whole step that I can skip. Here I'm overlocking all the raw edges around the bottom and where I took out the zipper. Then I'm closing up the back of the top but closing the shell and lining separately. I also hem the bottom of the shell and lining separately too. I've cropped it, I've finished off the seams, I closed up the back, and luckily I can get it on without any zippers or buttons. Like I can just put it on like a top, which is great because I don't have to worry about any other enclosures. Now the decision is, I cut off these 2 ties from the waist of the dress, and because there's 2, I want to utilize both of them. My question is, do we do like the side ties like this? Or do we just do the middle like I originally envisioned? I don't know, I really just can't decide. And should I have a think about it, or do I just go with my guts and do this? I went with my gut and stayed with the middle cinch. So I marked the middle of the top and down the length and left about 1 centimeter at the top and sewed down the middle right to the very end through both the lining and the shell. Then, without leaving any gaps at the top, sew down either side of the middle stitch to create an inverted U-shaped channel to feed your string through. I used a safety pin again to get it through the channel. I've finished doing the cinch and I think it looks really good. I ended up attaching both of the ties together and now it's a long tie. It's a little bit too long, but you know what, it's fine. Now all I have to do is cut out the sleeves and attach it to this top. Okay, sleeve making time. I really just eyeballed it here and tried to create the biggest sleeve possible with the available fabric. Then I cut them out and put in a basting stitch along the top curve of the sleeve so I can pull and gather to create that puff. Close down the armpit seam of the sleeve and attach it to the main bodice part right sides together. It's easier if you start sewing at the armpit and make your way up to the gathers. Then I added 4 lines of shirring to the edge of the sleeve to add to the puff. I also hemmed the shell up once again, but this time I attached it to the lining so that the lining and the shell are no longer separate along the bottom of the top. I am obsessed with these puffy sleeves. I am wearing Asian grandma pants because they're really warm and it's freezing, but I love how this turned out. I'm obsessed with this top. This is gonna get so much wear and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm happy that I went with the middle cinch instead of the side cinches. It's so cute. Look at the sleeves.
She likes chocolate covered strawberries and wine. She likes notes that say I love you all the time. Roses at your feet, baby girl be mine. Baby girl be mine. Yeah. Pick up your phone, I need your attention. My girl so bad we call her detention. I am so glad we moved beyond friendship. And your mama like me, look, I squared up with Cupid, told him find me. I stole your love, you shot my heart. I'm losing breath, it's getting dark. I think I might need CPR, baby, won't you tell me, do you love me like I do? Tell me what you're willing to prove, cause I ain't got nothing to lose.
Critique time! Okay, so I like how this turned out, but practically speaking, if I had more fabric, I would have made the top a lot longer, and also I would have loved to add a bit more frill to the sleeves and the booby cups. But my resources didn't allow this, which is totally fine, it's just a note for next time. And also the skirt, although it looks quite put together, I have to say it's really skimpy on me and I felt like my butthole was going to be exposed at any moment. It's also really not doing anything for my bum either, because I have somehow made it tight for my butt but roomy at the waist, but these are all things I can learn from. This top I'm pretty much happy with how it turned out, minus that I wish I used darker overlocking thread because some white thread peeks out of the eyelets if you look really closely, but I'm just nitpicking with that and I love the top. Caitlin, thank you so much for sending me these dresses. I had so much fun with this project. I think I'm gonna get so much wear out of these once the summer months roll back, but for now it's a bit too cold, so I'll keep them safe in my wardrobe. But I just love the colors, the fabrics, I love everything about it. And everyone, if you haven't seen Caitlin's video already, please go and watch it. I haven't seen the final outcome of what she's made yet, but I've seen a brief preview and I know it's going to be amazing. So please go and subscribe, follow her on Instagram to keep up with her snazzy content. She is hilarious and she makes awesome videos, so please go and check them out. Oh my god, it's so cold.